Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-star match game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another enchanting visit to Talentafini Marhezu. I'm reading the wrong thing. It's the Super J Cast. Sorry. I'm Joel, joined by that guy over there, Damon McDonald. It is Wednesday, 23rd of October, 2024. This is episode 333.
333! Can't believe we made it this far. It's pretty crazy.
Every time I look at the number, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Soft to be doing it.
I know. What are we thinking? What are we doing? If we did a show every day for a year, we would be kind of close. But
should we do that?
I'd
like to kill myself.
I would jump out a window. I would jump out the proverbial window. Now once a week's fine. The problem is that there are times where it's like it's warranted. And we've done it. Let's be honest. We've done it. We've jumped in when things were needed, right? We've done emergency broadcasts, but sometimes it's just slow as fuck, and you're just like, all right, what the fuck are we going to talk about? As Chris would say, we just need to create content. So here's us creating content. I gotta be honest with you. Sometimes we're in the mood. Other times we're just not. And this might be one of those nights where we just.
I was seeing our good friends over at We Work Stiff have got a lovingly crafted episode with Robbie Eagles on the show, breaking down Super Junior Tag League from all angles. Brilliant insight there. Really put a lot of effort into that. I've got no notes today, Damon.
Zero.
Nothing. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because a certain little treat arrived in the post for me this week. Yeah. It was the Anbernic handheld gaming device that you sent me.
I did. Which
is very kind of you. And I was prepared because I knew you kept the SD card for your Steam Deck. So I ordered my own SD card. So they both arrived same day. So I got the console and the SD cards, unpacked it all, ready to go, got all my tutorial videos up. Then I realised I didn't have an SD card adapter. I was just sick everywhere. I couldn't handle it.
And what time was this?
Too much.
Yeah, what time was this?
This is me getting home after school, so would have been about 5 p.m.
Okay. Could you have run out to the store and got one?
You are aware of where I live, Damon.
I did.
The edge of Dartmoor, like the middle of fucking nowhere. What I did, I sent a message to my work school WhatsApp group and asked if anyone else had one, and someone did, and they brought it in for me today.
Nice.
And I got it. So I all this afternoon, when I probably should have been preparing for the podcast, I've just been playing with the Anbernic. It's really good.
Is it working?
Very, very. Yeah.
Nice.
I had a couple of little hiccups with it. Just little things like the disk image file. I thought I could just sort of drag and drop that over, but I needed to have a special program to project those or flash those boot discs onto the SD card, but managed to sort that out, and now I'm putting all my favourite games on it.
Fantastic. That warms my heart. That makes me happy. That does make me happy. PlayStation 1 is a little tricky, but I think everything else is pretty cut and dry. So yeah, you'll have fun. And I'll have you know that I did wipe it down with a Clorox wipe before I sent it. So there's nothing dirty or anything like that.
I have no hygiene standards. That's fine.
No, I figured I'd give you that. You don't need Hep C for crying out loud. But good. I'm glad actually, it arrived pretty quick. Less than a week, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I tell you what, that United States Postal Service, baby, just chucking stuff overseas, just throwing it out there. Good. I'm glad it worked. I'm glad you're playing. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Maybe there's no Wi-Fi capability, so we can't. Like, I can't get my Steam Deck out and fucking play. But it's great because it's very small, but not too small. So portability is not if you chuck it right in your bag, get a break, bang out a couple games. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that you got it. I'm glad it worked out. And you saved yourself some money. Everything just worked out in the end. Everything fucking worked out in the end. Yeah, I literally just got
serendipitous.
Yeah, I literally just got off a call. Here's I'm going to say something, and I'm sure that you can relate. But boy, do I hate when there's just so many hands in a pot, and so many people have to make their decision, and it's just such the dumb. Like, you just know what's coming. Like, we have a campaign that's like, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Like, the math just doesn't add up. Simple division, cost per acquisition. And then you get the manager who has no idea really what you do, but is going to kind of, he's like 3 levels up, of course. Well, let's just see what we can get. Okay. We could do that. But understand that the reason why we're here is that we have goals to meet for this client. And it will not be met because you fuckfaces decided to sell a job that had no chance, but you just wanted the money on the quarter books. I get it. Just say it. It's not my first fucking rodeo. I've been here before. I know how this works. So don't blow smoke up my ass with, well, let's just see what we could get. Go fuck your mother. How about that? And let's see what we can get. Let's see how deep my fucking cock can go in your mom's ass. Let's just see. Let's test it out. Let's A/B split test it.
So is that your boss that you're annoyed with?
Not my boss. Actually, my boss is like, they just turn to me and she's like, I don't know, you tell me. And I tell them, and then they convey that message. And then after the message, after they get a message that they don't like, then it's, now we have to have a Zoom chat with 500 people in it, and everybody's got to have their say. Again, if you want to run the campaigns, by all means, take them. Here, I'll give you the fucking logins. Knock yourself out. But Joe, let's be very clear. That'll never happen. They just want it done. And that's fine. I've been there, done that. Been there. They just want it done. Just tell me you want it done, and I'll do it. But don't ask me for information and be unhappy with the math. Because it's not me. It's the math. The math.
Numbers don't lie.
The numbers, they just
spell disaster for whoever this individual is.
Oh, it's people that let's put it this way. Everyone knows this fucking client. Everyone. And it's probably not people's favorite. Let's put it that way. But yeah, it's just like, okay. Again, you give me X amount of dollars and it costs Y amount of dollars to do whatever. It would be like me saying, Joel, I need you to go to the market and I need you to buy steak. I need you to buy some oranges and I need you to buy some paprika, if you will. I don't know why those 3 things, but I need those 3 things. And I give you $2.50 American. And you say, well, we got a small problem here because the steaks alone cost more than $2.50. And I'll just say, well, see what you could do. And then you come back with Spam, the delicious pork shoulder, processed meat, or better, you come back with hot dogs and a pack of gum. That's what you come back with. Because that's what I'm coming back with. A hot dog and a pack of gum. Nobody cares about this. Why? I just know what it is.
Can I replace your really boring work story with one of my own?
Please.
Because I don't know if this is a big success or a disaster, right? Because we've got this playground equipment, like climbing frame, little bridge, slide. in the playground at school, which has been there for a decade and has just given up the ghost. Like, it's rotted. Safety inspector came a couple of months ago and said, no, kids can't play on this anymore because it's a hazard. Like, the whole thing could collapse, and it's all just been like cordoned off. So the last couple of months, there's just no play equipment. Kids aren't allowed to use it anymore. There's just a load of sort of safety tape all over it, which was very sad. That's no good for the kids. And I just knew just from the way that our organisation is run that it was just going to stay like that all year. So me being the inspirational teacher that I am, I had a new English writing unit about persuasive letters. And I thought, you know what, kids, let's write about an issue that's close to your heart. What's on your mind? What do you think is a pressing priority, something you feel passionate about? And sort of more or less sort of guided them to think about the playground situation. I thought, okay, yeah, so you're not happy with that. Who could you write a persuasive letter to? And there were some wacky ideas. Some kid said write to Santa Claus or King Charles or the football player Ollie Watkins who grew up in the area. And then the idea came out with a bit of teasing to write to the head of our organisation, asking them for help. So we did that. We spent a few weeks looking at persuasive writing devices and writing these letters. And then today, our receptionist, our admin lady, came and saw, because I put a shared write up on the wall. Like, every time we write, I do it on big chart paper. We share our ideas together, and that can be like a model for the kids to magpie from. And she saw that, and she was like, how long has that been up on your wall? And I was like, oh, we've been writing that for the past couple of weeks. And then she turns to our head teacher and goes, oh, that explains everything. That explains where all these complaints have come from. And I was like, uh-oh, what have I done? I've kicked a hornet's nest, haven't I? And apparently I got some students in my class, so I don't know if the correct word is agitated or inspired by this, that they went and told their parents, and now the parents have complained to the head of the organisation, said how unacceptable it is, and now they've been asked to get a quote for a new set of play equipment.
Well, that's good.
That is great. Like, it's an amazing outcome for me, but I also know I've probably pissed off a lot of people along the way. But who cares?
I mean, your yearly review is going to suck, right? That's happening. But here's what you did, though. You inspired youngsters to take action on a cause that they feel is unjust. Now, again, in the grand scheme of the world's problems, is it? But in their world, it's quite major. So good on you. I like this. I like this a lot. I like the fact that you get a little heat, a little pressure. Did any kids draw any cocks on the pictures?
There's still time for that. Do it on the old one, not the new stuff. But.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Because that seems to really strike home seriousness when you end it with just a picture of a cock dripping liquids. And we all know what they are. Good job. I love it. Yeah. I just hate trying to be fun and entertaining after you just hang up a call and you're just like, ugh, what was that? What did I just waste my life on with that call? And it's like, okay.
Would you like a question about some things that you do like?
Yes.
We've got hockey Damon question. We've got music Damon questions. Do you want some of those?
Fire away, John.
Right. There's both of these from Daryl. Question for Hockey Damon: when is your amulet arriving in the mail? And question for Music Damon: do you like any of the Oasis LPs after Morning Glory? I remember lining up for Be Here Now on release day after all the glowing reviews in the UK music press, and it was bad.
I don't know if it was bad. It wasn't as good as two of the mountain moving albums that Oasis had when the first two. I mean, those were fucking just hard to beat. And I will say that it was a little bloated and a little overproduced and highly fueled by cocaine from what I've read. But I don't think it's terrible. I think it's good.
It's got a Stand By Me on it, so I'm never going to hate it.
Correct. Absolutely correct. And I like, I Think I Know, which is a song I think is very underrated that nobody gives any love. But then even after that, like Hindu Times is good. Layla's good. Little by Little is a great song. They've had plenty. I just think here's the thing. While I will agree that the quality might not have been the first two, that's hard to duplicate. It's kind of like what we do with New Japan when we talk about like that era is kind of hard to duplicate. But that said, there's gems in there. I mean, yes, are there stinkers? Yeah, of course there are. Like Songbird, I could do without. Let's be honest. But yeah, there's quite a few. There's quite the whole album. No, but I would say that even like definitely maybe doesn't like not every single song is A+ material. The second question, what was it? What's an amulet? I don't even know what the fuck that means.
It's like a little sort of good luck charm, isn't it?
Is it?
Something you'd carry or wear around your neck. I know, like in Thai culture and Buddhist culture, it's a big thing. Little Thai people got like a Buddha amulet.
Okay. I don't have one. I don't wear any necklaces. I never really have.
Have you ordered something hockey related that's coming to you in the mail?
Not that I'm aware of.
What the fuck is Daryl talking about then?
I don't know. Like, first of all, he's using words that I don't even know what they mean. And secondly, but does he think I'd like need to ward off evil spirits or something?
I don't know. Is there something you need to be hoping for good luck in the hockey world?
Well, I mean, listen, if he's got something like that, I'm up for it. I'll take it for anything, really. Because the Leafs are always I can't get a read on this team. That's a problem. And then we are getting to Premier because I do have some questions to ask of you, sir.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I can't get a read on this team right now. I mean, they have a new head coach. He used to be the coach of the Flyers. And he's pretty hard-nosed, blue-collar, doesn't take a lot of shit, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. We beat a team, and when I say we might have played the best hockey for 2 periods consecutively that I've seen in decades, we just fucking mopped the floor with Tampa Bay. Just fucking came out. We had wheels. We were skating. We were moving the puck well. Possession time in their zone was through the roof. I don't think Tampa Bay got a shot on goal until like fucking 10 minutes left in the period, which is pretty amazing. So the schedule is a bit condensed. They're squeezing in the same amount of games in a shorter amount of time because we have this kind of in-season tournament that they're doing that sounds exciting as fuck. So it's like, 4 nations, U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland, I think. So players will represent their country, mini tournament in the middle of February. So they're squeezing in all these games. So there's lots of these back-to-backs. So like they play Tampa Bay. Next night in Toronto, they fly to Columbus, which is not a long flight, but okay, we still got to travel. Next day, play. It's hockey. It's a tough sport. You're playing the fucking next day. Columbus stinks. Let me be very clear. Columbus stinks on ice. They fucking killed us, dude. It was like, I think the final was like 6-2 or something like that. I'm watching this game and I'm like, what are we doing? Wow. I mean, like, it's like everything that we gain, we shit away the next night. So I don't have a read on this team. And it's early. It's October, so it's a little bit phony. I don't have a read on it. So I'll take that omelet or wherever the fuck that is. If they got one, I'll take it.
An omelette, a good luck omelette.
I love a good
3-egg omelette with lots of cheese.
Yes.
I love a good omelette. Do you like omelettes?
I love an omelet. Love a good omelet, yes. I do. I like bacon. Bacon and cheese. That's mine. That's my thing. Speaking of diner food, and don't let me forget about Premier. Do you guys have what we affectionately over here call cream chip beef over toast in the UK?
No, that sounds horrendous. What is it?
Sounds horrendous. It does. And listen, either you love it or you don't like it, right? It's kind of like a gravy, like a white gravy, with
what's it called again?
Cream chip beef over toast.
Cream chipped
chipped CHIPPED. Look it up. Take a look at it. Tell me if you would eat
that. Okay, so it looks like
throw up.
Yeah, it doesn't look great, but I'm just trying to unpick what it is. We've got some sort of sliced processed meat.
Yeah, like
pastrami adjacent.
Yes, Correct.
In like a savory, creamy white sauce.
Correct. Like a sausage gravy. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure that would taste good. I mean,
it is
doesn't
good.
look very appetizing, but I'd give it a go.
But it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to make at home, and you can never quite fucking nail it. And, if it looks like shit and you make it, it'll probably be shit,
Yeah,
But
it does look like cat vomit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it does not look appealing. But I get it at the diner because diners can make it, and they make it well. And I don't know. It's just a thing that I get. I get it all the fucking time. And then we have a local thing called Scrapple. Are you familiar with the Scrapple?
Yeah, you've told me about Scrapple before.
Yeah.
Now that's a bit like Spam, some sort of like meat cut off.
Not quite.
Sort of
I say it's closer
together into like a meatloaf thing.
Kind of. So I would say it's the equivalent to like maybe your blood pudding.
Okay.
So it's that kind of consistency where it's kind of crusty top. You kick through it, and there's like this mushy center, right? There's meat, but it's so ground up you wouldn't fucking know it's meat. And it has spices and all this stuff, but it's literally the scrap of a pig. So you're eating.
Yeah, the name's not very appetizing because I hear Scrapple and it makes me think of Snapple. It makes me think of some sort of refreshing apple-based treat.
Just the opposite.
But yeah, I don't think the word scrap should be in it. Having the word scrap in the name of the product is not really selling it. Right.
Well, I think dog shit was taken. So
again, I would eat that. I'm sure it tastes good. Like you said, it is maybe like lawn sausage. I think that's a thing in Scotland that looks quite similar to this.
Right.
Like a ware sausage. A flat sausage.
Yeah, but again, don't just because I say pork, don't think like you're getting like a fucking, like bangers and mash, right? You're getting like the consistency is that of mush, and it's like I'm not making this any more appetizing, but it's like a grayish color in the middle. But it's just I guess you're tasting the spices. I don't know. It's a thing here, and it's good. Like if you're hungover, like cream chip beef, side of Scrapple, large orange juice. It's fucking let's go. That's the shit. Oh, and home fries. You need a little fucking potato action. So, yeah. One day when you get here, you're going to be in for a culinary treat. I'm taking you everywhere. We're going everywhere. We're eating all the scraps, baby. All the fucking scraps. All right. Premier League. Let's get on it. What the fuck happened there, buddy? Got shut out by a team that is not worthy of shutting you out. 2 goals you concede. I may have had a couple bucks on it. Let's be honest. May have had a couple bucks.
You should have asked me first. You got to check with me before you start putting my own answer. This is one of these games where just everything went wrong. I thought the team selection was a bit dodgy. Like too many new players, like no pre-existing relationships. There was the post-international break sluggishness where everyone just looked a bit tired, a bit off. Some individual sloppiness from the players, a little sprinkling of fuckery from PGMOL, the referees, and there was a good analogy I was listening to on the Arsenal Vision podcast that likened it to Jenga, where we're just pulling out pieces. So Martin Odegaard, our captain, he's out, injured. Bukayo Saka, who's our best player, he was missing from that game as well from injury. We had our best defender, William Saliba, got sent off after about half an hour in that match. So all those things, you keep taking pieces out, and at some point the whole thing's going to collapse.
Right. Isn't this I don't know how many games, but it's been more than a few. You guys getting a lot of undisciplined red cards.
Yeah, there are 3 red cards in 8 games. Don't get me started, because the one against Bournemouth, I can kind of accept that. If it had been a red card given straight away, I would have been like, that's annoying, but fair enough. But it was a yellow, and then we had a cutaway of Howard Webb, the head of PGMOL, in the stands, looking really sinister with an earpiece, texting and pressing on his earpiece and obviously communicating. And then suddenly the referee's like, the VAR assistant ref is like, oh, you need to take another look at that after the yellow card has been given, which you're only supposed to do if there's a clear and obvious error, which I don't think there was in this case. The referee saw it and thought that's a yellow. And then there's this mysterious whatever Howard Webb was doing, and then suddenly the ref's being called to look at it again, and the ref's saying, "Oh, actually, that's a red card," which is a bit stinky to me. And then a very, very similar thing happened in the Chelsea-Liverpool game. Very similar position. Guy only gets a yellow card and not a red. And the other 2 red cards we've had have been for players kicking the ball away. And surprise, surprise, there haven't been any other players in the Premier League getting red cards for kicking the ball away. Like, who's asking for this? Who was watching the Premier League thinking, this is great, but you know what's ruining this product?
Kicking the ball.
Kicking the ball away a little bit.
Right.
It would be one thing. Like, if it was red cards for us, like, swearing or in discipline. Yeah, exactly. Then I'd be like, yes, that's what the red card should be given for. Not for fucking toe poking the ball away. I'm cross now.
I think officiating, and again, I think it's a very difficult job, mind you. I think officiating across every single major sport, and even, lower tier professional sports, we'll even say, stinks. Absolute garbage. Like, it's an epidemic across the board. I don't know where.
In Champions League, when I watch Champions League games, they're refreshing because they're actually refereed competently by referees who don't want to make themselves the main character and are willing to show a bit of discretion and referee the game sensibly. Whereas it seems for PGMOL, every week there's like a new directive, which Arsenal are usually the team being made an example out of, where again, it's just the referees wanting to be the main character.
That drives me nuts. That almost drives me as nutty as when fans try to make themselves the fucking star of the game. That's
my favorite thing, right? They had another ref. I can't remember who it was, but he was
Earl
part
Hebner.
of the commentary booth. So he's there. So when there's a contentious refereeing decision, they'll ask this guy, who's an ex-referee, and be like, what do you think of that? Was that correct? So I forget which match it was, but there was a decision given. It was like a penalty or something. And then they went to this referee and were like, was that the correct decision? He was like, oh yeah, it's definitely a penalty because this happens, It's a clear penalty, correct decision. And then suddenly VAR looked at it and they checked it again. And then they changed it and they said, oh no, it's not a penalty. And they went back to him and it's like, oh yeah, it's not a penalty actually, because
like the whole point of having... Yeah, the whole point of having that we have instant replay, VAR, whatever you want to call it, is to make sure you get it right. It's absolutely unbelievable when, are you looking at the same fucking video I am, right? And you see it, and they make a wacky call. Like, all right, so I'm not a fan of, I can't say I'm not a fan. It's just not on my radar, right? The WNBA. Are you familiar with the WNBA, Joel? The Women's National Basketball Association. It has gotten a little bit more popular in this year because of one young lady, Caitlin Clark. So people are into her, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Championship game. The commissioner, so it's New York City against, I want to say Minnesota. I could be wrong, but I'll say Minnesota because I think that's right. Imagine Champions League, or not Champions League, we'll do Premier League, deciding game. It's all on the line, and we'll just pretend that it's Arsenal and Man City, and winner takes all. And the commissioner, the head honcho, the president of the league, shows up at the stadium in a suit with Manchester City's logo on the back of his fucking jacket, on the back of his blazer. Like, wouldn't you be like, well, what the fuck's that? That seems a little odd. That's exactly what happened here. This commissioner, and I put in air quotes, of the WNBA shows up in a dress wearing it's the skyline of New York on the dress. Like, what the fuck's that? What the fuck is that? And the referees were so incompetent. I was laughing. I was like, this product is shit on ice, because the referees were just like, it was so obvious that they wanted New York to win this championship, from the announcing to the presentation to the refs just like turning their heads at every foul in New York, and everything was a foul against Minnesota. It was just embarrassing. It was truly embarrassing. I think across the board. I believe what professional sports has done is they've gone to the pro wrestling school of refereeing, and somehow the worlds have gotten jumbled because it's embarrassing. It is baseball. Oh my God! I really wish one day all officiating will just be computer generated. You know what I mean? Like we have little sensors in a uniform, in a jersey, in a sweater, whatever. And we can make decisions from there. Balls and strikes, it's just this fucking zone. You know what I mean? Like it's computerized. The ball's in the zone, it's a fucking strike. The problem is that you get a guy behind the plate and his strike zone might be a foot wider than the guy that was yesterday. So it's like, okay, now I got to adjust it from, okay, great. But then it's not even consistent from batter to batter. Like a pitch that was a foot outside before is now a strike. It's just, I don't get it. I don't know, man. We are two old guys yelling at fucking clouds today. Woo! It's fucking great. All right. I'm sure we got stuff to talk about. We do. I understand you went to a show and all that stuff.
Let's do the news first, right? So there was this Tanahashi retirement press conference where basically we're all but confirmed Tanahashi versus Evil at Wrestle Kingdom. And Tanahashi was talking about what he wants to do for the next year and a bit. And he was essentially saying that he wanted to wrestle everyone in the company from, the young lions to the top stars. Like he wanted to have a match against everyone. So I think there's been a bit of moaning about Tanahashi facing Evil. Like he's got 2 Wrestle Kingdoms left. And the opinions I've heard is that, we're wasting one of them in a singles match with Evil, which I think has been built very well. You may not like it, but they have committed to this from quite early on in the year. Part of me was thinking, Tanahashi's pretty broken down. He wouldn't be retiring if he thought he could still go. And a shenanigans-filled match against Evil is probably about as good as he can do at this point. But then that theory was completely undermined by him saying he wanted to wrestle everyone else. So right. Not quite sure where we stand on this at the moment.
Well, I can't wait for the fucking Tanahashi versus Yano match. Hey, so when's that going to be? Is that going to be Dantaku? I think that was my biggest problem with it, in the sense of, and I'm in that camp of, we got 2 Wrestle Kingdoms here, and like, I don't care what kind of bell and whistle you throw at me. Like, I don't know. Like to me, you know how they do their new beginnings shows, and it's like, we always complain about, they do 2 shows and it could have been really one good show. Why not have it there? Why not have it like in, I don't know, like that just seems, one, like, I don't know, maybe a little bit. Again, it's not the last Wrestle Kingdom, but it does feel a little anticlimactic. I'm not going to lie. But once again, they do kind of do these things in the sense of, I was going to say Liger. I was going to compare Liger's stuff. I would I have preferred it be just 1-2 singles matches? Yeah. But I get what was done. He got to wrestle people throughout, once again, one more time against people that were throughout his career. I still will never forgive fucking Taguchi for getting a win on that one. I'm still to my grave. I'm taking that one. It does seem weird. It's not what I would do. Let's put it that way. But there's plenty of things that they do that I wouldn't do. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. But I am in that camp, Joel, of you got 2 Wrestle Kingdoms and we're going to do Evil. I don't care how well it's built up. I just, if he's got 2 more matches in him, and we're, and again, I know he's wrestling the whole fucking roster. Great. If he's got 2 more Wrestle Kingdom matches in him, and he's going to do everything he can to make them at least really good, if not spectacular. Evil's one of them. I don't know. Again, if we're going through the entire roster, I think Evil might be one of the last people I would want that to be. But you want to put that at again, I used Dantaku as an example, or New Beginning, or that seems a little bit more appropriate, I guess. Wrestle Kingdom, huh? All right. What do I know?
All right, well, let's move on to discussing Royal Quest then. And first of all, let's have a look at the Twitter questions. What we got here?
Good.
Louis says, how was the trip getting to Royal Quest?
How
Pretty
was
bad.
it? Really?
Pretty bad. So my train from Devon, the first one was cancelled.
Oh.
And so I had to spend a whole extra hour at the train station. So I sat and had a coffee and fucked around on my phone, played on Twitter for a bit. And then for the train I was supposed to be getting, that was supposed to be coming at like 10:50. Then we get an announcement saying, the 10:50 train has been delayed to 10:54.
What the fuck?
The 10:50 train has been delayed to 10:58. And then the 10:50 train has been delayed to 12 minutes. So it keeps getting more and more delayed. And I checked on the website on my phone when exactly it was coming. I thought there might be something. And it said that train that I was waiting for was cancelled. And at that point, I was so close to just leaving and going home and being like, you know what, this is a sign from God that I'm not supposed to attend Royal Quest for. But it did turn up in the end. So managed to get myself down to London, met up with editor Dan, and we got a cab to Crystal Palace. And the problem is, right, I think this venue is in the arse end of nowhere. It's a pain in the arse to get to. The public transport links are not great. And it was on a Sunday evening, which basically means that unless you are from London or very close to London, you're going to have to take a day off work the next day, which is not a good value proposition. I don't know why they did that. I don't know if it was because of the Rev Pro show on the Saturday. That was up north in Doncaster. But I suspect when looking at the attendance for these shows, and I realise I'm kind of transitioning on to talk about attendances, and we can look at the Royal Quest shows attendance. So same venue, this is Royal Quest 2 in Crystal Palace National Sports Centre in 2022. So you may remember they did the 2 nights there. And the first night was headlined by, we had Ospreay against Shota and then FTR against Aussie Open. So that did 2,137. Then the following night, night 2, did 1,966. So that had Ishii versus late replacement Yota Tsuji at the top, which I think was supposed to be Jonah. And then Tetsuya Naito defeating Zack Sabre Jr. in the main event of that. So both of those shows outdrew this one. Same venue. This one did 1,544. So both those nights basically doing about 500 plus more than this show. So not to mention Royal Quest 3 last year, the Copper Box, which did 3,191. So it just left me quite frustrated thinking, well, why don't they just do it at the Copper Box? Do it on a Saturday, do it at the Copper Box, and then, whatever the situation with the card is, I reckon they would do a better number. So I don't know what the thinking was, whether they were it was cheaper to do it at Crystal Palace, or they didn't want to step on Rev Pro's toes or whatever, but I do think that was a big contributing factor to the attendance. Now, that said, did have a nice time. We had a little JCast Discord meetup where we met up with all the lads, Yap and Minty, who are regulars at these things. Flynn was there, Will. Sure, there are other people. Apologise if I've not...
How many drinks did you get?
I only had 2. I had 2 pints. I didn't really want any more than that. I did have a dirty hot dog at the show, which was nice. And another thing I enjoyed about the show was in the... I don't want to call it the box, the executive suite, because basically it's a really weird venue. It's basically a massive sports centre where you've got, swimming pools and gymnasiums and all stuff. It's not the sort of place I would expect to have a wrestling show. And then there's just like this little arena bit in the middle of it, not even in a separate room. It's all just kind of open plan. So yeah, very, very strange place. So this, what I will, for the sake of continuity called the Executive Box. Mr. Will Ospreay was there.
Oh.
And I had a lot of fun just watching him throughout the show, watching his reaction to everything. And he was so animated and really getting into everything. And I just thought it was very cool that he is he just loves wrestling so much that he flew over, didn't need to be there, didn't make an appearance at the show or anything, but just wanted to be there to, I don't know, catch up with his old friends from New Japan or just watch the show, just enjoy the show like a fan. And him and some of the other wrestlers came out to not too far from us, actually, just sort of standing on the balcony watching the matches. So that was pretty cool. I also saw Chairman Sugabayashi. He was there taking in the show. And interestingly, he disappeared as soon as Shota's match was finished. And I didn't see him again after that. So, yeah, that was quite interesting. So, not the greatest Royal Quest show. And there's a lot of factors going into that, as I've talked about. And also just, was this maybe just the best show that they could have put on with the roster that they've got? I mean, they've not got the star power anymore. They don't have a Will Ospreay to put in the main event or co-main event to have a big spectacular match. And, there's no Okada. Maybe this is just what they're capable of drawing. But I don't know. I just feel like the venue and the time and day made it an unfavourable proposition to lots of fans. And the show itself, I enjoyed it. It was a fun live experience, but it was a glorified house show, really. I mean, the quality of it was no better than what you'd get on like a C show at Korakuen Hall. So I couldn't hand on heart say, yes, there's anything on this you need to absolutely go out of your way to watch. But I didn't regret going. We did the sort of annoying English wrestling fan thing of doing loads of chanting and just trying to entertain ourselves. But I thought the wrestling was fine. I mean, I've seen a lot of people being very critical of this show, saying it was rubbish and that. I didn't think so. I didn't think the wrestling was poor or anything. There was nothing. It wasn't a stars show. It was a vibes show. Vibes for the live crowd.
Right. I mean, I've been there. When I say I've been there, I've been to shows here in the States where I've felt exactly the same as you're mentioning leaving. I still had a good time, but, it's not like it's one of the shows for, that you're going to try and get out of your way and catch. Okay, so let's talk about the time. Yeah, that is, I just sometimes wonder if anyone has the foresight, is that the word I'm looking for, to kind of predict those things as a possibility, right? Again, the venue in the middle of nowhere in London, it's on a Sunday night. People do have to work. And, if you're not central to the location, it's going to be tough getting to. It's going to be tough getting out of. It's going to be tough, period. I will say this, that the crowd that was there, at least that how it came across via the television, seemed like they were into it. Like the people that were there, it didn't feel like they were sitting on their hands, and it didn't feel like they were just clueless as to who a lot of the people were. How was the vibe, as you call it, there? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, very much so. I think everyone was happy to be there, and I think everyone went home happy.
Right.
But again, it left me thinking, perhaps Royal Quest should be a bit more ambitious of that? Like, did they, in putting on a relatively, I want to say mediocre, but a show that is not as strong as previous Royal Quests. Like this was the worst Royal Quest by some distance, I would say. Are they then damaging the Royal Quest brand? Are people next year going to think, oh, well, Royal Quest 4 wasn't all that, so I'm going to skip it this year? Do you think they should have made more of an effort to put on a better card, or do you think that was the best card that they could have done, given the circumstances?
Well, I know that when we talked about it, like going over the lineup, I think we both thought on paper it looked pretty good, right? I didn't hate the card. I thought the card on paper, while it wasn't, the best thing I've ever seen. Going in, there were plenty of matches where I was like, okay, this could be good. This could be good. This could be good. And I actually thought, like, I don't know, Zach. Look, I think this is the wrong thing to say, but I'm going to say it. I thought Zach was more of a draw, especially him winning the title. Like, I thought, like, any tickets that weren't sold would have been sold, and that was not the case. And I will also say that it feels like, and it just from talking to you, talking to others, I don't think the show did itself any favors in building that goodwill toward the next time. Because you're right. I feel like people might have left that show thinking, okay, that was a good show, but I ain't going through this fucking rigmarole to get here again. And, if there's any slight inconvenience that would be in my path for Royal Quest 2025, it better be minimal at best. Like, I don't know. But what you're describing, I swear to you, is Philadelphia. In the sense of, okay, getting to the venue is, for me, incredibly easy. But in the grand scheme of things, you have to take an Uber. You have to take a cab to get to the fucking venue, because there are no stops on the Broad Street line, the subway, that will stop conveniently. And if there is, you're walking a good couple of blocks in, let's be quite clear, maybe not the best area in the world, especially if you're new to the area. 2, how many times have I complained about, man, they're just putting on dog shit shows, and people just are like, okay, it's not important. Like, there's like the idea of New Japan Pro Wrestling showing up in the middle of London, like, that's old hat at this point. Like, it's nothing special. You can't go there and just throw any old thing against the fucking wall and hoping it sticks. Now, again, I can't be hypocritical and sit here and say, well, that's, the show, the lineups. I liked the lineup. I thought the lineup was good. And to be clear, I thought the show was good, but you're right. It was nothing where I would be like, yeah, you got to check out this match, or you got to see this, or like, if you missed it, you missed nothing. You missed nothing. And that's not to say that, like, if you like pro wrestling, if you love pro wrestling, like, watching this show, you're not going to have a terrible time, but it is a show. And I would have hoped that they have learned their lesson from other places where they run shows, Philly, Washington, etc., where it feels like they just fucking, I think, ruined the goodwill is a bad and maybe not 100% appropriate statement, but, like, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't have an okay show and expect to have people lining up to buy tickets for the next one. Like, they really needed to do that, especially the idea of, a lot of their top stars not being there. A lot of the top stars now are not people that people are familiar with from 5 years ago, right? So they needed to do something. I don't know. I was a little disappointed, and not with necessarily the show, but more of the fallout, or the lack of fallout, and the lack of, we just went to a town. Know what it felt like? It felt like, okay, guys, we got a bunch of miles on our credit card that we got to use soon, so let's have a show in London. and everyone went, and everyone had a good time, and everyone, and that was that. And again, I think the other thing is that I again, call me naive, but I really thought the idea of Zach, world champ, in that building, there would have been a walk-up that would have sold every seat, and that just wasn't the case.
All right. Well, we do have a question here that says, it's from Matt, who says, I'm looking for the ultimate in insider knowledge. Why was Chris Charlton stood for the whole event? No monitor? As
you wanted to
if we
see
would
him.
know.
You wanted to see him.
As if he's going to reply to our messages. He only messages when he wants something.
Right. Or tells us not to say
Otherwise,
something.
he's leaving us on red. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have no idea. We're calling out into the void. All right. Well, let's get into the card itself then. We open up with Young Bloods, Oscar Loiba and Yuto Nakashima, who I got my mark photo with. Very nice. So Oscar, very friendly guy. Really like him. Nakashima looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. I don't know if that's just his normal face though. Can
I ask how much that was?
Yeah. No, I didn't pay for it. I felt guilty afterwards. I think I should have at least bought a T-shirt, but this was right after the show, and I like Youngblood. I think they're really good. Although, so they beat Greedy Souls in 12 minutes and 5 seconds, but I missed most of this because me and Dan were queuing up for hot dogs. I've heard it was fine. You know, it was a pre-show tag match, just kind of going through the motions. But I asked Oscar, "Are you coming back to Japan soon?" And he said, "Hope so." He said, "Fingers crossed." So read into that what you want, but that's
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right. That's one thing about New Japan. Like, at least in my experience, when you talk to guys, it's like they don't know. Like, I remember having a conversation one time with Trent Beretta, and he's like, I don't fucking know. Like, I know at the last minute. Like, nothing. It's not like I have this calendar with months of dates ahead of time. Like, I literally get a call like a week or two beforehand that I show up. While it doesn't surprise me, it still to this day surprises me.
Okay, next match then was Bullet Club, Robbie X and Taiji Shimori defeating CPF, Danny Black and Joe Lando in 7 minutes 55 seconds. So, Joe Lanza, gets around.
He's like, I'm pacing in the ring. I'm pacing back and forth.
As I said, as I predicted, it was Robbie X because him and Ishimori had history. They wrestled each other. I think it was at last year's Royal Quest. So it sort of made narrative sense. I have to confess of not being the biggest Robbie X fan. I've never really got it with him. He's never struck me as anything special. I mean, he does flippy stuff and he's bald and he looks angry a lot of the time. It looks like a sort of smaller Mike Elgin, actually. He's someone I don't get excited about, so I can't say that I'm thrilled or terribly excited to see him teaming with Ishimori at Super Junior Tag League.
I'm not surprised by it. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not surprised by it. Like, to me, it's, of course he's in Bullet Club, you know? I mean, like, of course. I think I'm a little bit higher on him than you are, but it's not like I'm lining him up and I'm strapping him up, you know, having him fucking beat Doki in 3 minutes. But I guess, I mean, is he Chase 2.0?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, now you've brought up Chase Owens, can't find him with a search party.
Yeah. I mean,
he would, if you were to offer him the New Japan, if you were to offer Robbie X the New Japan career that Chase Owens has had, even if it was over today, I'm sure Robbie X would probably bite your hand off. I mean, whatever you might think about Chase Owens, he has had a very successful. he's had a decent time.
I think he's had a good run in the sense of, I mean, how many people can you count have gotten clean pinfall wins over Hiroshi Tanahashi?
Yes.
And I mean,
or 28-minute matches with Toriano.
Right. In an empty building over a meaningless title. Like, he's like, there were moments where trust me, this company actually considered giving him a little bit more than what he had. Tag champs, you know, like he has not had a complete hand wave. And I'll go so far as to say there were times where he might have never been the number one foreign pro wrestler in that company. But there were times, maybe weeks, moments, whatever, where he was like maybe like third or fourth, right? Like
just don't make. I was want to talk about Chase Owens. I'm feeling queasy. Why have you made me talk about Chase Owens?
But here we are. But in 2024, like they're going to need somebody to fill that role. I wouldn't have a problem with Robbie X being that guy. Let's put it this way: there are worse people that could fill that role, and I'm not even saying that he is, but you figure eventually that role will need to be filled. If, in fact, again, Bullet Club's not dying. The day that they sell 0 T-shirts is the day Bullet Club dies. And they're apparently still fucking selling T-shirts. So he'll be in it.
If you'd asked me to rank all the people from Rev Pro that I would fly over to New Japan for a tour, I don't know if he would be in my top 10. Let's put it that way.
Okay, and that's fair. And probably not me either. But I think he's perfect for that type of role. I don't need him to go.
It's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about middle of the card, multi-man tag guy looking at the lights role. Yeah. I think you could put a fucking dirty shoe in there and I think we'd be all right. You know what I mean?
Okay. Next was the tag team match with AZM and Danny Luna defeating Kanji and Mina Shirakawa. I never like analysing women's matches because I just feel terribly ignorant and that I'm not qualified to offer any sort of analysis. But this is pretty good. The crowd seemed to enjoy the Joshi being there.
I like the fact that they have a platform. I do, but I don't know. It just feels like they don't take care of them on their own shows, and they just jam these people in to fucking fill space. It feels like I feel bad for them because truth be told, I feel like they deserve better. Like they're always like second or third. I thought the match was really good, actually. I don't know. I mean, again, what are you going to do? You're going to, unless it's Monet, you're probably not putting them at the top of the fucking card. But, yeah, I don't know. I always feel like they just kind of shoehorn them in and give them 5 minutes and ask them to fucking move mountains. And I think they make the most of their time, but I don't know. I feel bad for them because the company don't give a shit.
Fourth match was Kosei Fujita defeating Michael Oku in 9 minutes 57 seconds. This is another one of my issues with going to these Royal Quest shows, any London show, is the Michael Oku tax. Why do I always have to watch a Michael Oku match? Can we have one Royal Quest show without him, please? And look, he's okay. I think he's good. He seems to get a lot of hate. A lot of people really twisting the knife on him, especially in our circle, saying how shit he is. I think he's a talented wrestler and he's got a great crowd connection, but I think he has bad instincts. He sort of leans towards a sort of overindulgent, overdramatic,
modern pro wrestling
nonsense. Yeah, basically. That said, the last 2 matches of his that I've seen, the Luke Jacobs match at the Rev Pro Anniversary show and this match, I actually really enjoyed. And I went into this one grumpy because I was like, oh, fucking hell, Kosei Fujita's going to have to job to the British cheeseburger. But wasn't the case. And I thought, actually, that although it was a kind of a flash pin, it wasn't a terribly decisive victory, I thought it did make Fujita look good. I actually really enjoyed this match. I thought it was good.
Me too. I thought it was one of the best on the show. When I saw Oku in Philly, I thoroughly enjoyed him. Maybe he just had a different set of working boots on. I don't know. And it's not like we've seen him a ton here live. Every time I've seen him, he's been really good. Like, I just don't understand the fucking hate. And I don't even think it's hate. I think it's apathy. I think it's just like people are just like, and I think if you see him month after month after month on every fucking countless British pro wrestling show, yeah, I guess it would wear thin a little bit, but I always enjoy him. But yes, I was surprised as well with the finish. The fact that I feel like, on a New Japan Pro Wrestling show, that was a little bit of a surprise. I liked it. And I thought the match was probably, not the best match on the show, but up there, like top 3. And Yeah, I am like he's tailor-made. I'm speaking of Oku, tailor-made for modern televised pro wrestling, and that's what he's giving because he wants as many eyeballs on him so that he can land a job. And here's the thing: why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? But if you aren't into that, like if you see that and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I could do it at the NXT stuff. Yeah, I can see where people go south on it, but I mean, he's doing that because that's what people are looking for. And when I say people, I mean companies with large checkbooks. Like he's not pining to go to New Japan. You know what I mean? Like when like there are guys on shows like this, and they get a spot, and they're trying to impress every fucking person they can with every goddamn high spot, hard hitting, strong style, blah 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 blah. And then you have him who's like, well, no, I'm trying to impress a completely different audience. I'm trying to raise my stock so that I can go to developmental camp in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, I know there's sort of a lot of rumors about him joining AEW, which that's real. Like, I know there is AEW interest. It's just without saying too much, I think that's something that has got to be mutually agreeable for him and Amira. Let's just say maybe the circumstances are not quite
financially feasible.
Well, it's not a financial thing actually, but I'll tell you later. I'm doing the.
Tell me later. What do you know?
I'm going to drive everyone else mental, but it is real. Like my point is that AEW do want him. There are, from what I've heard, there is serious offer on the table. So we our days of seeing him clogging up the card at Royal Quest shows may be numbered. But
there you go.
Anyway, we move on to a singles match with Yota Tsuji defeating Drilla Maloney, 13 minutes 55 seconds, and a question from our good friend Factory Direct Marine and RV says, do you think the singles with Tsuji was a test run for Drilla as a singles? If he were to go singles, do you think he stays in Bullet Club? At certain angles, he looked bigger than Tsuji and he got good offense in. I sense something is up. And I've been saying that for a while, that he is preposterously oversized for a junior. Like, he could easily be a heavyweight singles wrestler. But I need to see more from him than he showed in this match, because I thought this was a really huge chance for him to go out there and he was positioned to be competitive against, I'd say, one of the bigger stars in New Japan at the moment. And I was trying to editor Dan. He's a casual New Japan fan. He doesn't really follow the product. And he was saying, "Oh, I think Drilla's going to win this one," but he doesn't really know sort of where either wrestler coming from. So I was trying to explain that Drilla is one half of a junior heavyweight tag team, whereas Yota Tsuji is one of the biggest up and coming stars in the company. New Japan Cup winner, G1 finalist, and that in terms of the sort of hierarchy of New Japan, Tsuji is, I think it's fair to say, way above Drilla Maloney, right? Cool. Would that be a fair thing to say?
I think so. I don't think there's. Right. I think anybody who would question that needs their head examined. But yeah.
So with this disparity in where these guys are in the hierarchy, it was a very close competitive match. 14 minutes with a junior heavyweight going toe-to-toe with the New Japan Cup winner and the G1 finalist. That's a big spot, And whilst it had its moments, the only spot from this match that I could remember is when the crowd started singing songs to Yota Tsuji, doing like football chants at him, and then there was a big grin on his face, and he liked that. That's the only thing I can remember. I don't really feel that either guy went all out to try and seize the ball by the horns and state their claim. And I think that the onus, the impetus was more on Drilla to do that rather than Tsuji, because Tsuji's got a great spot in the company. But if this is a test run for Drilla to prove his value as a singles wrestler or even a singles heavyweight wrestler, a bit underwhelmed.
Fair. I think it's fair. I think, though, that this is one of many. of those. Like this could have been, hey, just don't fuck up the finish, or hey, just let's not anybody get hurt, or hey, let's I want to see how you do in these particular scenarios or spots or what have you. It would have been great to have him come right out of the gate and be like, whoa, okay, this guy belled him up, But I think those things might be a little bit of baby steps. Like I wouldn't put all the stock into that one match and say, okay, sink or swim. I think it'll be a little bit more of, okay, now do this. Now we're going to add to this. We're going to go on with this. And a lot of times, in these types of shows, it's kind of like, don't do too much. Don't go out there and fucking tear down the house, because we still have 8 matches to go, or whatever the case may be. And we don't want the crowd to get burned out. Like there are promoters and companies and stuff like that will like actually say that, here's what we need to do. We need to do a fucking easy peasy 8 minutes and get the fuck out of the ring. And so we can get out of here and not miss our flights home. So there could be other circumstances that would, especially the fact that it's a guy who we're assuming is going to be making the leap relatively sooner than later when it comes to junior to heavy. So, yeah, look, it was a good match. Would I've loved to have seen a real, hey, shine here, because here's the plan for you in 2025. Yes, I would have loved it. But in hindsight, I know it's disappointing being there live, and I know it's disappointing watching it live and having a singles match in front of you. I don't know. Was that the time to do it? I don't know. Like if there were 3,000 people in there and we're talking, a ravenous crowd, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe the circumstances might be different. There was a lot of that feeling I got, though, of guys being double parked outside and needing to get the fuck out of the building, especially in the first half of the show. It felt like people were like not rushed, but like it just felt like we're not going to do anything too spectacular, too flashy, too whatever. We're going to have a safe, solid pro wrestling match and get the fuck out of town.
Next match was Shota Umino defeat Callum Newman in 60 minutes 44 seconds. I tried my absolute best here to get the boos going for Shota. So if you heard like one person screaming boos by themselves, screaming "fuck you, Shota," that was me. And then a guy sitting next to me was like, "Why do you hate Shota so much?" And then I kind of paused there because I was like, "Can I say the real reason why I think he's a piece of shit?" Or do I go with like the kayfabe reason? I was like, "Oh, well, he's a fraudulent nepo baby who's every chance he's been given, he's underwhelmed and stealing other people's ideas, blah, 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 whatever."
You should show them your DMs.
I see a lot of hate for this. Yeah.
You should just show them your DMs. Check this out.
I see a lot of hate for this match and a lot of criticism. I thought it was really good. I thought both guys worked really hard here. Arthur's having a little fuss at the moment. You talk to me about the match, Damon.
I got you. Callum Newman, I want to speak on a little bit because I'm a little worried, and I think I have a reason to be. I know G1 was a spot that he, the idea of him getting in G1 was a big deal. And again, it wasn't necessarily him being super successful in G1. It was more about him getting in. It's been pretty dormant on the Callum Newman front from that point forward. And I think people were a little bit concerned with G1 in particular, right? I've heard more than one person mention that, was he even a good pick, right? Was he even a person that we would want in G1? Again, hindsight being 2020. I still am very high on him. And I think the company still is very high on him. But I feel as though there is some cooling off maybe we're not putting the proverbial flame to the pan, heating him up, which does have me a little bit concerned. Again, after G1, it's been a handful of months, and there's really not a ton that you would be like, okay, what should we be doing with him? But it just feels like that any momentum that he has had feels a little cool at this point and feels a little bit off. So one, it was good seeing him, and I thought he did very well. But once again, like, I don't know where he sits, and there's a couple guys that I feel fall into that category. Oddly enough, a lot of them are, UK, European based that spend some time in Japan. I don't know. Maybe it's just a matter of finding the right spot to let loose. But he's one of those guys where it's like, I don't want to say that they gave him a shot and now they're kind of not all in with him. Not saying that per se, but I feel like the bloom is off the rose a little bit, and it's a little bit like, okay, what would we need to do for a guy who is a young heavyweight to build on any momentum that he has? And it feels like it's kind of petered out.
What did you think of Shota? Did his performance here strike you as a guy building momentum and building a case of being a Tokyo Dome main eventer?
No. And I don't know why anybody would be looking for that in even in this match. Like, okay, so let's say he does get a win. I mean, I don't think anybody would have been shocked. I think people would be shocked if he did lose. I mentioned it for the past couple of shows. It's late October. Like, what can we possibly do to make this guy a legitimate threat? Once again, I don't think he's ready. And of the guys that are in that musketeer tier, it's troubling that we're gonna shoehorn him into a main event at Wrestle Kingdom, where I don't know if, one, he has the chops, and two, the fans buy it. Like, here's the thing. It might be one of those things, Joel, where it's like a Naito thing where, okay, where Osaka might have been the straw that broke the camel's back for Naito. Maybe we're waiting for that moment, but to me, it feels like that moment is Wrestle Kingdom, where people just shit on him, and that's that. The one thing that will stand out in my mind for a long time is his reaction to challenging after Zack won, and the fans' reaction was, "Ugh, what the fuck." Like, it was the Japanese equivalent of, ugh, what the fuck. That's tough to overcome. Like, there's a big difference between boo, you, we don't like you, to, ugh, the fuck. There's a big difference. And you're going to put, what the fuck in a big match on the biggest show of the year for this company? That's risky. It's October 23rd. What in God's name do they have up their sleeve to light a fire? Not only in him, but in people's perception of him. Like, that is some rehab that needs to happen, because people just are watching him with a bit of a bitter taste in their mouth. And these are people, I would say the majority of them are pretty intelligent pro wrestling fans, especially if you're, in Japan and you're going to these, like, these are not your run-of-the-mill casual fans. That being said, those casual fans that do pop in and out of New Japan Pro Wrestling, I will say that they are heavily influenced, right, by people taking the bull by the horns and saying, nope, this is not happening. Not on my watch. Like it's not going to be too hard to build a tsunami of what the fuck in everyone in the crowd. And I don't know what can be done to turn that around. It's risky right now. I don't think he's the guy, at least not yet. But it does feel like that they're putting their fingers in their ears, they're closing their eyes, they're la, 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 and all the way home to the Tokyo Dome. And I do have concerns.
I think the only acceptable outcome, if it is Shota and Zack at the Dome, is a very decisive Zack victory. Maybe like he breaks Shota's legs in the middle of the ring. Like I'm talking like double compound fracture, bones sticking out, and Shota shits and pisses himself in the middle of the ring, and he's carried out on a stretcher, crying and shitting and pissing.
Yeah.
And all the fans are just hurling abuse. The fans are throwing their own shit at him.
Wow.
And like big globules of human feces are getting lobbed and splattered all over his face.
Wow.
As he's sobbing uncontrollably as being taken out of the ring. Like the Wrestle Kingdom 9 ending, but just taken to the next level. And yeah, that will be good.
Thanks, Joel. Now I have an erection. Thanks a lot. All right, very good.
Did you hear the boos? Did the boos come across on?
Oh yeah, a little bit. Not. It wasn't deafening. It wasn't like the whole place was rocking with boos, but you definitely heard him.
Okay, well that was me. So well done, me.
Good job.
Okay, next it was Taka Michinoku, who was supposed to be facing David Finlay, and then Finlay said Taka had to beat Gedo first. So Taka beat Gedo in 2 minutes 15 seconds, and then Finlay beat Taka in 1 minute and 14 seconds. I was expecting this to go longer. I was expecting this to be a bit more competitive, but it turned out to sort of just be an angle or a squash match. I mean, it was fine and about what I suppose it makes sense. You know, you would have a dominant champion like Finlay squashing someone like Taka Michinoku, but I just thought, what was the point? Like, why fly Finlay all the way over to London to do that?
Right. Yeah, I like you mentioned. Is this an angle? That would make more sense if it were somebody like I don't know who doesn't just pop in for multi-man tags and random El Desperado produce shows or whatever. Yeah, I
put one of the RevPro kids against him, but JJ Gale or Leon Slater or Cameron Kai or someone who can have like 10 minutes in there and get something out of that. I don't know, it was just a bit weird. I was like, what did this achieve?
When things like this happen, Joel, it's like, I just think of all the guys who can't get into Japan. Like the company won't pay for a fucking flight for them to do a tour. And yet we'll pay to have Taka Michinoku travel to London and perform 2 matches in less than 10 minutes. Right? Like it's one of those just like I don't understand. Maybe he was already there. Maybe he was like, listen, I'm going to be in London anyway. I'm going to go I'm going to go see the Charlatans at Astoria. Is Astoria still a venue? At the Roundhouse. I'm going to be there anyway. And they didn't have to pay. And he was already there. So they were like, fuck it. Yeah, come on. We'll put you on. But the idea of him, of New Japan Pro Wrestling spending what? What do you want to call it? $1,000? Because he's flying coach. Right? They're sticking him in the middle fucking seat in coach. $1,000 to fly him over. And yet, I mean, we could rattle off the names for an hour of guys that, well, how come not use him? Why don't they bring him in? I mean, they had a whole strong promotion that you could literally go down the roster and say, why not him? Why not him? It's those type of things. And when we hear like the horror stories of people, maybe not getting paid on time or, not having enough money for their fucking flight or just silly stuff that you would think a professional, the number one pro wrestling company in the country, you would think, that seems weird that would happen. Well, We have enough money to fly Taka Michinoku over to again, have 2 matches in less than 10 minutes. What planet are we on?
Sorry, Maddie's just come home. She's done her first shift cooking in the kitchen at Thai restaurant nearby.
Oh,
and she's coming with a fat wad of cash and is waving it in my face.
Nice.
She's making it rain now.
I love it.
She's making it rain money over the bed. She's very
off your
pleased
pants,
with
Joel. Let's go.
Well done.
Earn that money.
Well done.
Yeah. Good job. Good job.
Good job. We had a 6-man tag match with Los Ingobernables de Japón, Hiromu Takahashi, Tetsuya Naito, and Titan, defeating Mascara Dorada and TMDK, Robbie Eagles, and Ryohei Oiwa, or Roy the Mullet, as he's now affectionately known. And this was one of those just a fun 6-man matches. Nothing huge to write home about in terms of the in-ring stuff. I thought the Mascara Dorada and Titan segments of the match were the most interesting. But yeah, one of those ones where just there's a lot of chanting and silliness going on. I started, despite what other people will tell you, I started a T-shirt Naito chant, which then turned into a T-shirt Robbie chant, where Robbie Eagles was refusing to take his shirt off, or Bob the Cunt, as apparently he's known when he has a few drinks. Oh. He refused to take his T-shirt off and then took it off finally and then put it back on. So there's a lot of shenanigans going on with T-shirts. Just one of those matches where everyone was having a fun time. Naito was being a big troll. Hiromu was also on the wind-up. I like these matches where LIJ are acting like a bunch of pricks, because when they're sort of vanilla baby faces, I find them a lot less interesting than when they're just winding people up for fun. So one of these matches, very, very good vibes for the live crowd.
Yes. Yeah, plenty of star power. Would you say, and this is how it came across as guys on vacation, guys on holiday, right?
Yeah.
And you do get that with LIJ. Especially you chuck them in a multi-man tag, and absolutely. I just, look, I think one of the golden rules of pro wrestling is let's not get hurt, right? And sometimes that gets taken to an extreme in the sense of
the logical extension being let's not take our T-shirts off.
Exactly. Like that's the slippery slope we get on. Look, everybody had a good time, right? And at the end of the day, everyone had a good time. So who am I? But sitting at home, on my sofa, it was like, okay, everybody's having a good time. Like, it doesn't, like, there's a big difference between live show interaction stuff that makes people giggle and laugh and chant and sing along and do all that it really doesn't translate to people watching at home, because you're not in the mix. You're not involved in it. So it's like, you're just kind of, are these guys ever going to fucking lock up? Oh, so nobody's taking a bump? Am I supposed to laugh here? That's really the feeling you get. I'm going to be very honest. I wish a lot of these shows weren't televised. I really do. Because you would just hear the results and see, and that would be the beginning and the end of it. But the fact that it's televised, you feel obligated to watch. And then you watch and it's like, oh, this is not really...
You feel obligated to do a fucking podcast about it.
Right. Well, right. We're doing an hour and 23 minutes on it. But that's the reality, is that when they do stuff like that, I get it. For the live audience, know what it reminds me of? So... I understand that there are a lot of people that don't like this band, but I do. So go fuck your mother. U2. So U2 did an actual movie called Rattle and Hum, right? And so they're recording live concerts, and they recorded the majority of it in Tempe, Arizona, at a very large outdoor stadium. But they made a decision to say, okay, we can either play for the crowd here or the cameras. We're going to play for the cameras, right? So a lot of what they do is geared toward it being translated to fucking idiots paying $12 to see it on the big screen, as opposed to the 60,000 that they have sitting in the stadium watching them perform. That's what I got here. And that's what happens in these types of matches, is that they're performing for the live crowd, and I feel like good on them. Good. Everybody's having a good time, and that's what they want. And if they're eating it up, fucking give them more. By all means. That's smart pro wrestling. It just doesn't always translate through the television set. And that's what we got here. That is, to me, exactly what we have here. We had a good live pro wrestling match that didn't translate very well over television.
Semi-main event was the NJPW Strong Openweight Tag Team title match with Mikey Nicholls and Shane Haste defeating Hiroshi, Tanahashi, and Tomohiro Ishii in 50 minutes, 58 seconds. I thought this was really good. This just delivered beyond my admittedly low expectations. I'm just happy to see TMDK getting some showcase matches, and also sort of appreciating this match through the lens of this could be the last time I get to see Hiroshi Tanahashi wrestle live. I thought everyone worked hard. I thought they had pretty good chemistry. So, yeah, I was fairly happy with this one.
All right, go check on the gunshot. I sound like a gunshot going off in the house. Yeah, I think this was like TMDK's best title defense. Excuse me, there haven't been many, but I thought this was up there as one of their better ones. And, you know, you're in the ring with some pretty fucking talented dudes. And even when they put in their you know, we're wrestling abroadness, I thought they still did. You know, it was Big Tom doing Big Tom stuff, and Hiroshi Tanahashi doing smart, subtle things that kind of get over with me anyway. But yeah, I thought this was their best title defense so far. At least, name me another one that was as good. I'm hard pressed. So I think that delivered, honestly. And yeah, it did. And not that I had super low expectations. I didn't. Look, the four people in the ring can fucking go. I think each individually and collectively as a team and together as a match. I think they're smart pro wrestlers. Some of the, we're talking about one of the best of our generation. So to be able to put that together was fine. Was it my favorite match? It's in the top three. You know, I think it's, and quite frankly, I think it's probably my second favorite, depending on my mood. Nah, I can't make it my favorite. It's probably my second favorite match of the night. But just saying something, because, you know, I'm a guy who fucking forgot they even held the titles at one point. Kidding me? So anything they can do to heat them up is nice. We got World Tag League coming up, which will be interesting. If they're holding on to the belts, let's heat them up. So I thought it was good. And
grizzled young veterans appeared on the video screen to challenge, so they're going to have a crack at those titles. No. In America. Main event was the IWGP World Heavyweight title match. Zack Sabre Jr. defeating SANADA in 25 minutes, 32 seconds. I thought this was a very good match, but not one of the best that they've had. I thought the G1 match that they had this year was a lot better than this, just in terms of the dynamism and the ambitiousness of the closing sequences there, where they really surprised me with quite how spectacular that was. I thought, wow, these guys are really fucking good together. And this match didn't live up to that. It was good. Like, I didn't have any problems with it, no complaints. It was a match wrestled to the occasion and the crowd, where SANADA got a lot of boos and a lot of funny chants with people chanting stuff like SANADA doesn't recycle, SANADA is a Tory, blah, blah, blah. And he leaned into that and, really sort of presented a heelish dimension to his character, which I've not seen for maybe ever. I mean, I can't think of a match where he's sort of gone all out heel and sort of winding up the fans and that. So I was quite impressed by that. I thought in terms of a character performance from SANADA, it was one of his best performances. In ring, good, fine. Like, this is not going to make any match of the year shortlist, but I think what my biggest takeaway from this was having it there as an opportunity to celebrate Zack Sabre Jr. and give him his flowers in front of his home fans, going in there with the belt and winning a kind of big match against a relatively big name. But let's be fair, right? SANADA, this is a guy who headlined the Tokyo Dome at the start of the year, so he's not a jobber or anything. He's not where he was earlier in the year, but he's a former world champion and a Tokyo Dome main eventer, so that's not to be sniffed at. And I thought it was just really lovely to have that chance for the fans to just show some love to Zack and for him to be in the ring at the end and bring all the TMDK guys in and just share that moment with them and get a chance to, put the TMDK flag up and get on the microphone and shout out everybody and talk about how he is the first, or is he? He's the first European to win the G1 Climax, and wants to be the first foreigner to win the Tokyo Dome main event or Wrestle Kingdom main event. I don't know. Did Brock Lesnar win a Tokyo Dome main event? I'd have to dig back the history banks there, but either way, he sounded pretty confident that he's going to go all the way, and he did specifically say Tokyo Dome main event. So I know some people seem to think that might get bumped, and that could still happen. But at the time of recording, I do expect Zack Sabre Jr. to be in the main event on January 4th, and just a really nice moment.
Do you, and being there live, would you say that? Because I think it came across well, but do you think it was an outpouring of, as we like to say, flowers being thrown at Zack from the hometown crowd, or do you think, or were you expecting something a little bit more maybe animated? Is the word I'm looking for?
No, I think it was the former, and another touch to that was Will Ospreay being there, like I said, at the top of the stairs, not about 50 yards away from me, getting to witness that and show his appreciation and applaud him, because Zack is a guy who so often in these spots is there to put someone else over, particularly on these UK shows where Ospreay being an example, he's put Ospreay over a couple of times in these UK shows, and was it last time that Crystal Palace is putting over Naito? I think was it Naito beating Zack last time at Royal Quest 2022? So a wrestler who's really unselfish, particularly in front of his home fans as well, because when they put on these Zack Ospreay matches, people forget that those are Zack's home fans as well. It's not just Ospreay's. So a very unselfish guy who's given a lot to other people, now able to have his own moment in the sun where everyone can say, you did it. It came home. You brought it home.
It is amazing. It is a I don't want to say a feel-good story, but it is a feel-good story. Like if you were a fan of his and followed his careers through indies and both in England and in the US and Noah and just the travels, like I just you have moments like that, and he comes in and he passes through the curtain, stands there, digs the crowd, shows off the title. Like that's those are the moments for big time pro wrestling fans that follow a guy to have and to savor, right? Because they don't, as much as we want to believe that it happens a lot, it really doesn't happen that often. So that was good to see. I know I'm harping on it, but like I would have loved to have seen a better walk up, but maybe they did. I don't know. It felt right. Like it didn't feel out of place. Like I feel like SANADA with the title is more out of place than Zack with the title, to be quite frank. He'll be champion at Wrestle Kingdom. I don't think anybody's. Well, I think there are people that think that might not happen, but I think that he'll still be. SANADA is just It's just amazing. I don't think there's a pro wrestler on earth that can swing the pendulum, so to speak, of, okay, he's a sharp, solid pro wrestler, and he even gave me a little bit extra, to a guy that you're just like, you're just indifferent on. And I don't know. I was kind of indifferent. I don't think there was anybody in that building, let alone watching it at home, that was like, well, yeah, definitely Sanada's taking this fucking title, right? Like, if you went around that building and said, all right, I'll give you 500 to 1 odds, I think people would be like, you might want to raise that a little bit. I'll take 700 maybe. There's not a person in there that was like, okay, Sanada's winning this thing. And I think that kind of didn't help the match, but I think everybody knew that going in. If you're going in there thinking you're going to see history in the making with a title change, I think you're out of your mind. It could have been better, but once again, aside from Zack taking bringing a title home, as they would say, that was the highlight. And if you're expecting Sanada to then dip into his reservoir of great pro wrestling and compelling pro wrestling and giving you his A game, was it a safe choice to have him challenge? Of course. You have a credible name, former champion. 10 months ago, he's closing shows at the Tokyo Dome. Legitimate guy. And to have him lose, nobody would have thought otherwise, but it's not like he's going out there and fucking, they brought out Honma. It's somebody legitimate. The problem is that sometimes you just don't fucking know what you're going to get with Sanada. And on shows like this, I'm putting my money on average. I don't think I'm going to get anything more. So I think my expectations going into this match were, I'm going to see Zack. I'm going to see his reception. I'm going to have him. I want him to soak it in and have the moment. I think the match will be solid. I'm not looking for Sanada to fuck anything up, make anybody look bad. Everybody walks out of the building safe and sound. And Zack gets his win and has his moment after the match. It played out exactly how I would thought it would have been. What I enjoyed a little bit of a knock up on match excitement and suspension and all the things that we dig. Yes. Yeah, I think there was room. In fact, there was, I'll leave it at there was room. I'm not going to go so far as to say there was plenty of room. There was room. No need to kick people under down. But yeah, I think we got exactly what we were looking for here.
In Ring Art says, let's say Zack is still champ. What would be the best way to determine his opponent at Wrestle Kingdom? Series of number one contender matches, mini tournament, someone walking out to challenge, etc.
I think
that does seem to be, that's what we're doing at Power Struggle, isn't it? So it's Zack defending against Shingo, and then Sanada against Shota, and you'd assume the two winners of that are going to face each other in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, they may face each other sooner. I'm still holding out hope that we bring back Takeshita to be the challenger for Tokyo Dome, but I don't think that's going to happen at this point. But I think that one's pretty clearly laid out.
Yeah, I do think so too. I mean, it feels that way anyway. Do you think they would do a switcheroo kangaroo? And all right, well, let me ask you this: would you feel safer if it were Sanada in that main event or Shota?
Christ.
Yeah. How about that?
I would say Shota would be more interesting.
I would agree.
That's a big risk, running the Tokyo Dome with two guys who've never been anywhere near the main event of Wrestle Kingdom before.
Right.
And I appreciate the audacity of that. That will be pretty bold.
Yeah. I think Sanada's a safer choice.
Yeah, I mean, if you go with Shingo Sanada, that's two people who've main evented a January 4th show already, haven't they? Right.
It's not, unfamiliar spot to be in for either of those guys. I look, again, I'm just throwing it out there, but I think the thing that they're going to do is Shota, and I'll sit here and say, as of right now, even though I have a lot of question marks, it's probably the right thing. Let me take that back. Yeah, it's the right thing, right? It's the right thing. Like, you're not going to put fucking SANADA in there again, are you? They're not. They wouldn't do that, would they? Oh, silence is deafening.
Sorry, Mally's doing a scratch card.
I know.
There's a lot of rattling and tapping. I was like, what the fuck is she doing?
Listen, she's winning the big one here. Now. That's what the fuck she's doing. Do you win?
Yeah. Well, if you win this, Mally, you can pay for the Zencaster account.
Nice.
Right.
$20.
Next question is from Burning Hammer. He says, what would be a dream but also realistic main event for the 5th anniversary of Royal Quest next year?
Michael Oku against
Rado. Okay, how about this? I'm thinking 2 guys who are New Japan through and through, but also represent the next generation and have ties to Britain. Okay. Let's go. Yota Tsuji against Great Khan.
Ooh, okay.
With Yota Tsuji, I don't know. Let's say Yota Tsuji is champion by then.
I'm going to say Zack. Well, that would be a year's worth of championship material, but why not? I don't give a shit. Let's do it. How about Zack versus Callum?
Or no, Zack versus Gay Kid.
Ooh, okay. I mean, I ain't complaining. That could be fun. Yeah, I think any of those would be kind of cool. I mean, we're assuming Zack's holding a title and all that stuff and blah blah blah. But if we're sitting here right now, I like any of those. They're fun.
Or because I'm just thinking, right? Well, I was asking earlier, what is the point of that Finlay stuff? What if Finlay wins New Japan Cup, beats Zack for the title at Sakura Genesis, and Finlay comes back to the UK as IWGP World Heavyweight Champion and is then challenged by ex-War Dog Gay Kid?
Ooh, you're cuckooching it, brother. You're booking that shit out.
Fancy booking.
Yeah.
The lowest form of analysis.
It really is, but it's fun.
Just go and do like the Tony Soprano bit about fantasy booking.
Yeah. Remember when?
These are never going to fucking happen.
I'm rewatching a little bit of it. I'm not doing it in order, but I wind up fucking getting caught in the algorithm, as they say. And it's like just one clip after another, after another, after another. It's almost like watching the whole series. What a great show. What a great fucking show. All right. Yeah, but I like that. I think that's really good, actually. I think it'd be fun. That's a good scenario. I can't top it. I can't top it. Not off the top of my head. I feel like you spent some time thinking of this. If that's right off the top of your head, good on you, man. They should raise your fucking pay. That's for sure. You get paid,
right, that's
you get
all
paid
I
by
think.
New Japan promos.
That's all on Royal Quest. Yeah, and I said we'd preview Super Junior Tag League. I don't know how much energy I've got for that. How about we just look at the matches for the final nights?
Okay.
And try and do a bit of prognosticating on how we think the tournament is going to play out.
Okay.
Can we do that? What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So we have on the Friday, November the 1st, the final set of A block matches, match order to be announced. So Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles against Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Sho. We've got Bushi and Hiromu against Driller Maloney and Clark Connors.
Hmm.
And we got Capitan Suicida and Tiger Mask against Dragon Deer and Ryusuke Taguchi. So I think we're safely taking that one off the table.
Correct.
In terms of stakes. Then it feels, you'd have to say that those other two matches would be de facto semi-finals, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I mean,
now, Kanemaru and Sho were in the final last year, weren't they?
They were high up. I want to say yes, but
wasn't it Catch 2-2 against Kanemaru and Sho? I'm gonna have to look that up.
Look it up,
but I can't because I've got the fucking cat and my son leaning on me. Did you see what I sent you on WhatsApp?
Me? No, not yet. I have my phone. All right, let me see.
You have a look at the absolute state I'm in at the moment.
The state I'm in. All right, so here we go. So we got a little one lying on the stomach, snuggled right, like Joel can't move. He's got a cat on his arm that's like snoozing away. He's got a laptop on top of him. 2 laptops. Is that 2 laptops? What do you got there? What do you got going on over there?
No, I've got the microphone propped on top of bedtime stories.
Okay, gotcha. That's a very nice. Like Joel's got one of those headrests that he can grab onto to really, you know what I'm saying? Like,
as if there's any of that shenanigans going on in my life.
That's a very wholesome picture right there.
Right.
Very
I've looked it up. It was the final last year was Catch 2-2, TJP and Francesco Akira against Sho and Kanemaru. So I think for the sake of freshness, I'm thinking Fujita and Eagles.
That's my team.
Spoil Kanemaru and Sho. And then Bushi, Hiromu versus Driller and Clark. Winner of that goes through to the final, which, given that they've just lost the titles, you'd have to think it's probably Driller and Clark, because otherwise why take the titles off them?
Yeah. Which would give you a Eagles...
No, that would just have Driller and Clark winning the A block, because they're separated to 2 blocks this year.
Right. Okay.
And then B block, the following night, November 2nd, we're looking at, again, in no particular order, Ninja Mac and DKC against Francesco Akira and TJP.
You would think they would win.
Kevin Knight and Kushida against Rocky Romero and Yo.
You would think.
And Paris De Silva and Jude London, the Velocities, against Robbie X and Taiji Ishimori.
That one worries me. Because I could see that one.
I think both of those teams will be out by that point.
You think so?
Yeah. And I'm using the logic of the champions seldom making it to the final to say that.
Yep.
Kevin Knight, Kushida, Rocky, maybe Rocky and Yo spoil.
Does that mean
just leaves me with Ninja Mac and DKC against Catch 2-2 as being the decisive one. And I think I'm leaning towards Catch 2-2 winning, and then Catch 2-2 against War Dogs again. Yeah. Feels like they've wrestled each other quite a lot.
They have. They like doing that, though.
Yeah.
They're not big on surprises. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what we're looking at when it's all said and done. When it's all said and done, I think that's how it's going to flesh itself out. Which, I mean, look, those guys had arguably some of the best tag matches in the company the past year or so. So I hate to sit here and complain about that. It's not good. It's not the most creative thing in the fucking world, but like it is good. Like it will be a good match. And maybe, the fact that I don't know. I just hate the idea of running the same shit back. But I think you're right. I think that's where we're going.
I'm just trying to think, how many times have they wrestled each other?
It's probably like a low number, but it feels like 520.
Because they had the match at Wrestle Kingdom.
Right.
Where we had the Aswang nonsense.
Right.
And I remember
we're getting it again.
they've got a better match in them. So Catch 2-2 won the titles from War Dogs on that night. Then in that reign, I'm just digging it up here. So they won it at Wrestle Kingdom and then lost it at Road to the New Beginning at Korakuen Hall a month later. And I don't remember anything about that match.
But they had it in June. Didn't they have a match in the summertime? I thought I could have sworn they did. Like, I want to say like Sakura Genesis.
So War Dogs won it in February, back from Catch 2-2. They defended in a 3-way against Catch 2-2 and Intergalactic Jet Setters at Sakura Genesis. They defended it against Bushi and Hiromu at Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni in April. Defended it against Fujita and Eagles in the New Japan Soul Tour, and then lost it to Intergalactic Jet Setters. So in terms of just straight 2-on-2 matches between War Dogs and Catch 2-2,
Hasn't been
they've had 2 this calendar year.
Okay. I mean, it's not like it's 12, to be fair. I mean, we could do it again, can't we? We could do 3. I mean, this company is on... They fucking did Shingo and Hinari 416 times, it felt like.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is, you're saying that, they've done it already, so they're not going to do it again. That's
I mean, they've...
not a reason they're not going to do it.
Well, I agree, but... Like,
who are the other contenders? Like, out of all the...
Like, I love Fujita and Robbie Eagles. I love that tag team. I think I like, just on paper, I'm like, that I would love to see that happen. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and get a boner over Yo and fucking Rocky Romero. I don't think there's like this super dark horse that I'm thinking is going to come out of nowhere and win this fucking thing. Like, do you? I don't see that in either block. Like, I think TMDK is probably the biggest outside shot, and I don't think it's that much of an outside shot. But I don't see anybody like sneaking up on anybody. Like, here's the thing. You know how they book these fucking tournaments. So there is going to be that team that's like, well, I had them down for 4 points, and they go on like an early 6-point run, and then they shit the bed at the end. So, I mean, I'm just looking at the list. There's nobody that stands out. Like, it's a good field, but there's nobody that I'm like, oh, well, that has possibility. Like, it just doesn't feel that way. It feels like we're going. Like, I guess the only other one would be House of Torture Team. But they were in the mix before, so it's not like that's...
Yeah. It's War Dogs and Catch 2-2.
I think so. I think
that's good. That's fine.
It's going to be good. Like they're...
And then that would be a pretty stacked power struggle. So power struggle, we got Zack against Shingo, the world title.
Great.
Shota against Sanada.
Ooh.
Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols against Holy Seaman Army, Hinari and Great Okan.
Good.
We've got a special tag match with ELP and Hiroshi Tanahashi against Ren and Evil.
Okay.
Then we'd have the Super Junior Tag League final, which we're penciling in as War Dogs versus Catch 2-2. And we've got the Junior Heavyweight Championship match, Doki against Watto, and the Global Heavyweight Championship match, Taichi against Finlay. That's
stacked.
That's ridiculously stacked for a power struggle.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, here's what New Japan has done, though. Like, these shows to close out the year have been pretty solid on paper. They really have. Like the last one with Goto and Finlay and, you know, the title change. And like, these have been some pretty solid shows on paper. They're going to have a nice little run at the end of the year.
That's less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah. Dude, when you were talking about the finals of the tag tournament being in November, like that's like, what, 2 weeks away? If that?
Yeah, we're speed running this, right? So the tag league starts tomorrow,
right?
At time of recording. So by the time you're hearing this, we're probably going to be like halfway through the fucking tournament. But we got, October 24th, October 26th, October 27th, 28th, 30th, 31st, November 1st, November 2nd. So it's very condensed.
Yeah. 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, as we like to say. I don't think there's going to be any surprises. But I will say this, though. I do enjoy this more than I liked World Tag League. Speaking of World Tag League, we got any guests?
Are we in it? Cool.
Have we gotten anybody?
I've not really put the bat signal out yet.
All right. Well, let's fire up the bat signal. What do you say?
It's like make Rich Craich do it with me again.
At least he made the show. Then come up with a fucking harebrained excuse. Who can we get? Who would be
you? And Joe Lanza should do one.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not. In the sense, because I think me and Joe would be fucking great. It's just that I have to watch a fucking World Tag League, and I know he's not going to want to do it. Like that's the thing too. Like I know he's going to be like, I'm not watching this fucking horse shit. I got to review.
Well, maybe we should do like something in the spirit of Tag League and do tag stuff. Like, me and you, Lanza and Craich. Who are the other tag teams? Rafe and Curtis, our friends over at the Ichiban Sweetcast.
Nice. You want to do a strong
Jeremy
style?
From Strong Style.
Yeah.
We Work Stiff friends, Josh and Dave.
Yeah. How about John Carroll from Omakase?
John would need to find a partner. Maybe John and Chris Sampson. Maybe they could team up.
Wow. Ooh. Okay. Now we're talking.
And I don't know where I'm going with this.
I was about to say, how would this work?
I don't know.
Like we have the team.
There's no substance to this whatsoever.
That's all right. And then we have to be like, hey, you want to talk about World Tag League, guys?
The whole point is for us to have a break because we can't be able to do it.
Yes.
Now I'm setting myself up a scheduling nightmare.
Right. Like we're doing more work now. Be easy for us to fucking pop on and do a show. All right. Well, listen. What do you think about just putting out the call?
Yes. If you're listening to this and you would like to... I'll tell you what I wanted to do, actually. The idea I had chatting to our Discord freaks is that World Tag League could be like a Discord freaks takeover. We'll get all the nutcases from our Discord to co-host the show.
Do you want to put a live microphone in front of these clowns?
No, it wouldn't be live. It would all be heavily edited. So.
Well, right. Poor Dan. His head will explode. Like, I'm a fucking... I hear Dan right now saying, and not saying, sending us a audio message via WhatsApp. Hi, boys. I just got this audio. I'm not doing it. I'm going to bed. Fuck you.
What about getting Esther and Mally to review one of the shows together?
Oh, my God. How about this one? I got one better. How about Cheryl and Mally?
Yes.
Huh? How about that?
Mally, would you like to record an episode of the podcast? You and Cheryl do an episode together. Confirm or not confirm?
Not to confirm.
Not to confirm. That means she'll consider it.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. Because trust me, if I ask Cheryl this, she's going to look at me like...
She didn't tell me to fuck off. I'll take that as a win.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I know I'm getting a fuck off. Are you kidding me? She's like, I got to watch what? No, that's not happening. That would be pretty funny. All right. We'll figure it out. If you're listening, great. I'm sure Joel will pop out a tweet. Like, we'll figure it out. We just got to do it. Yeah. It's become it's like a tradition at this point, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sick of hearing our stupid, boring voices.
Exactly. It stinks, these two. All right.
I'm done. Do what you want. Pull the plug. I'll kill you.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney. In every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.